Hello, welcome everyone. We are going to give just a few seconds for all our participants to join. We thank you for joining us today. We hope that we have a very fun and informative presentation on what we know is a very important topic. So we hope you all are ready and that we can share some very useful information. So again, we're going to give it just a few minutes, make sure we get everyone here, and then we'll get kicked off. Okay, I think it looks like we probably have the majority of people that are here. So to make sure we make use of our time, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Harvey Werner. I serve in the role of Director of Undergraduate Admissions at Loyola University in New Orleans. I, along with my colleagues here in just a second who will introduce themselves, we're going to do a very short and hopefully concise presentation on financial aid, scholarships, the topic of financing your education in the U.S. We set this up in a structure that's going to present what we consider myths that are common to this process, and that we can hopefully set the record straight with some facts. So before we get started, I'm going to go through and allow my colleagues to introduce themselves so you know who is in the room. So Rachel, will you get us started?
Great. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. My name is Rachel Scolton, and I'm the Director of International Admission at Loyola University, Maryland in Baltimore, Maryland.
Thank you, Rachel. Teresa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Teresa Howlett. I'm an international admission counselor at Gonzaga University, which is in Spokane, Washington.
Thank you, Teresa. Gerardo, good afternoon.
Hey everyone, my name is Gerardo. I'm the Senior Admission Counselor for international students at St. Mary's University in San Antonio, Texas.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. David.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Bernay, and I'm the Director of International Admission at St. Edward's University in Austin, Texas.
Thank you, David. And Stephanie.
Fantastic. I'm Stephanie Sapansky, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admission at St. Louis University in St. Louis, Missouri. So welcome so much tonight. We are going to talk about financing an education in the United States. And so our first myth for you is that this is a real common one that we get, is that your classmates did not receive any scholarship. So you've talked to your friends and they didn't receive any scholarship or any financial aid. So then you're not going to receive anything and you're not going to do anything. So you're not going to apply for scholarship. You're not going to apply for financial aid because your friends said that they didn't receive it. And so I'm going to turn it over to Harvey to see what the actual fact is here, because this is the first myth.
Yep. So here's the fact, right? And if you're like me and a lot of us growing up, you may have heard your parents say, doesn't matter what happened to someone else, only worry about yourself, right? That kind of applies here a little bit, and that each applicant really is unique. A lot of our schools do a holistic approach, and there's a number of different factors that come into play with why a student may qualify for certain types of aid. Merit scholarships, you're typically, based on academic performance. There could be leadership components, your types of activities. The degree program that you're applying to may have some additional funding that's available. When we talk about need-based aid, that type of financial aid, that's very dependent on each student's individual financial and economic situation at home. And there's varying degrees, of those scenarios. So don't let this be a deterrent to applying to a school. Your situation is very unique, and all of us are here to kind of walk you through and make sure that you have the best potential offer from the university.
So the first thing that we would encourage you to do when it comes to financials, the first thing I would have you do is sit down with your parents. You really want to have a family discussion and develop a plan. This is one of those topics that no one really likes to speak about finances. And so it is a sensitive topic. And so I think the first thing you should do is sit down with your parents and lay out a plan of how much you can actually afford. What are the costs that are associated with going to a college in the United States, housing, room and board, all of that, flying over. There's also, health insurance, things like that. Also look at what resources you have. So there's not necessarily just one component. Do you have parents, extended family, legal guardians that can assist? Do you have a personal savings account, summer earnings? There are financial aid. So some schools will have their own financial aid form, and you'll learn a little bit about that. There are also scholarships, and all of us can tell you about that, but we'll talk a little bit more about scholarships. And then other sources. Have you looked at Education USA or things with your parents' work or other outside organizations. So those are some of the things that you should really sit down with your parents and have that conversation. It's never necessarily an easy conversation. You shouldn't do it in the spur of the moment, but you really should sit down and make a plan with your parents.
So moving on from there, we talk about what your other potential sources of aid are, which are important. When you look to the university, there's typically going to be two primary sources of aid that comes from the university. First is going to be merit scholarships. All students, regardless of citizenship or where you're from, typically are going to be eligible to apply for these programs. As the name implies, the most important factors that help determine how we award this money is going to be your academic profile, your grades in school. At some universities, it might still be taken into account standardized test scores. Leadership, there's some places that will, award money based on your activities and your level of leadership. So there's a number of different potential ways that this is evaluated, but it kind of comes down to your academic profile. The other source, and this may be a little bit more limited, not as many universities yet have, this source of funding, but many more are starting to do so. And this is need-based financial aid, and specifically for international students. So this is awarded based on what your family's financial and economic situation is. We want to assist those students that demonstrate that there is a little bit of need to help, support financing your education. Most universities that offer these will utilize the CSS profile through the College Board. So it's recommended that you submit a CSS and you have that ready to submit. Other universities might have their own form, and this is information that you would receive from your admission counselor at that school. Essentially, though, part of this conversation that Stephanie mentioned earlier, when you're talking with your family, start to get a sense for what your parents' income is, some of the financial information, because that's what's going to be asked for. So you will be prepared, for when the time comes to apply. And really quick, as I transition to the next slide, I forgot to mention when we started, but as you think of any questions that are coming up, please feel free to start typing those into the question and answer section of the Zoom, and we'll have some time at the end of the presentation to answer your questions. So again, feel free to start putting those in now.
Thanks so much, Harvey. And so I'm here to talk about myth number 2, which is I can only afford a certain school. So we hear this a lot from students. They say, I'm looking at a public institution because it's lower cost, and my family can only afford that type of institution. And for students, we know when you go to a college fair or used to go to college fairs or open up a school website, one of the first things that I know you look at is the sticker price. And so you don't want to let that sticker price shock you or scare you too much. And I'm kind of here to explain why this is a myth. So Harvey, if you want to go to the next screen, the sticker price is sort of the full price at the university without any scholarship or grants. So it's important to note that when you go through the application process, you will be earning some scholarships from the university, most likely, maybe some need-based aid from the university. When you subtract that amount from the sticker price, and that's what you get is called a net price. That's what students typically pay at a university outside of the scholarships that they receive. So that is the real true value that you're looking at here. That's what students really want to understand is what that net price is going to be at the end of the day. And so if you go to the next slide, a lot of times students will compare and say, this school, the sticker price is so much lower than the other one. I'm definitely going to go to this one because it's more affordable for my family. And so when you look at this, though, this comparison over 3 example universities, you'll note that the sticker price doesn't always equate to the least expensive school or the most expensive school, that is. Now you'll see here some of the line items that are listed aren't actually going to be relevant for international students. For example, you wouldn't get work study or loans necessarily in your financial aid package. But this is kind of serves to kind of highlight the point here that no matter what the sticker price is, you really want to go through the entire financial aid process with that school to understand what your net price will be. And at the end of the day, you'll want to compare the net price of all the universities that you are applying to see which is the most affordable for your family. And then I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Teresa, to talk about scholarships.
Thanks, David. So like Harvey and Stephanie and also David mentioned, many institutions offer scholarships that international students are eligible for. These may include merit-based scholarships, talent-based scholarships such as music or athletic scholarships, and need-based aid. Some scholarships are automatically awarded and others require a separate application. So for internal scholarships offered by an institution, you'll generally need to apply to the institution and be admitted before receiving any scholarship offers. Pay careful attention to deadlines because it's possible you'll need to submit the scholarship application before you even know if you've been admitted to the university. You're also going to want to look for external scholarship opportunities, and some of the places that may offer these are the company you or your parents work for, local and national organizations, and community organizations. You may find opportunities through the Hispanic Scholarship Fund or discover local loan options. You'll also want to look at the National Catholic College Admission Association is offering a one-time $1,000 scholarship that you can apply for before April 1st. School websites and college scholarship databases can be a great place to start when researching scholarship options. And we also encourage you to reach out to an admission counselor to ask specific questions about scholarship and aid options at each school you're applying to. They're going to know more about your individual situation and be able to provide really personalized advice.
So we're on myth number 3 here. So this is one we hear as well. The quality of a school is directly related to how much it costs. And I hope that what some of the other presenters have presented earlier will help you understand that you really don't know what the cost of a school would be for you personally until you actually go through that application process. So there are many different funding models for universities in the US. A state university may receive state funds that they can then offer some discounts to students that are living within that state. Those wouldn't apply to international students, right? So even at the same school, there can be different rates for students attending those same classes. So it's really not a good way to try and estimate the quality of an institution. What you want to be looking for are really the value that the school is offering to you and the outcomes, right? So there's some other things that you can do. You want to really consider your own priorities as you're looking for a school. You're not looking for a magical, single best university in the world. There isn't one. If you've taken any time to look at different rankings, you'll see that those vary widely, right? Different institutions can be at different levels. Sometimes individual programs have rankings. So you don't want to think about in general, what's a good school. You want to think specifically for your own self, what you want to study, the type of environment you want to be in, the size of the school, the type of support services that are offered. Those can all add value to your experience and help you decide what would be the right fit for you. And then in terms of outcomes, so are students who attend the school graduating on time? Are they able to get into graduate schools and continue their education? Are they able to get that first job after graduating? What are the outcomes for students that attend a university that you're looking at? And these, you'll be able to find this information on university websites and brochures. There's a common data set that you can look at on each school. So if you go to a school's website that you're interested in and type in common data set, there's going to be a lot of different facts and figures and statistics that you can kind of go through. So there's a lot of publicly available information that you can use to help you make your decision. And if you ever feel like there's too much to sort through or you just aren't sure where to find some information that you're looking for, please remember you can always reach out to the admission office. That's what we're here for. We want to help students understand what it is that we offer and to make a good decision for themselves.
And as I start to wrap up these last couple of slides here, you've heard a lot about a lot of different myths, a lot of different facts. I mean, we of course know that there's obviously some more out there. So if we missed something or you still have a concern or you're still questioning something, by all means, put it in the Q&A and we'll absolutely address it here as I kind of finish up this last couple of slides for us. Now, this is just like a quick summary of everything. Now, remember, confusion is temporary. We understand that looking at numbers, looking at costs, looking at all that and above, it can definitely be a lot. If you just take it one step at a time, ask for help, ask for clarification, just like Rachel said in the previous, we're here to help. Someone is more than willing to step up and help you out. Now, the number 2 option, again, a lot of us private schools, we always look really, really expensive. We totally understand that. And as David was showing in some of those previous slides, you would be shocked on how drastically a cost of attendance can drop. And then ultimately, it's about you. You have to pick the best option for you. And of course, the only one that's, it's going to sound funny, but the only one that's going to know the best option is you, okay? And then of course, the last funny little thing, your high school counselor is an avenue of tremendous information. And not just them, us as well. You would be surprised If you had went to the CCAA fair last year, you'd stop at a booth and you're looking for architecture. St. Mary's, unfortunately, we don't have architecture. Be like, oh, let's go a couple booths down. You're absolutely more than welcome. They have it over there. They'll certainly help you out. So there's going to be help out there. Counselors, not just from your school, other schools, other universities, will be there for you. Now, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. We definitely want to answer them for you.
Okay, well, thank you to my colleagues for your expert advice. We hope this was helpful. We know that this is a very important topic and we could probably spend hours really going into it, but you guys probably don't want to spend more time on a Zoom. And we have a short amount of time. This is the time for you all to hopefully ask some questions. Please don't be shy about whatever it is that you want to know. Chances are something you're thinking about asking that you're shy about, almost everybody else is probably thinking it too. And you've got experts here that are on the inside of this operation, and we're here wanting to share all of our knowledge and information. So first question, and I'm gonna call out some of my colleagues to answer this. So I'm an international student. I'm not eligible for the FAFSA. Very common that we get, because FAFSA is obviously a big thing here in the US. Is there a similar way to apply for financial aid? So I don't know if someone particularly wants to take this. I know Stephanie has a lot of experience with students in the US too, so I might start with you, Steph.
Sure, absolutely. And then anyone else can jump in. So at St. Louis University, we do offer need-based assistance for international students. And so we actually use the International CSS Profile. So you would fill out that form at our institution, and we would estimate your expected family contribution based on that and see if we can offer you any grant assistance. So that is what we do at our school. There are other schools that have their own form. So they might have an institutional form that you would fill out so that they could also award you assistance. I would say, let's do this. How many of the colleges here actually offer need-based assistance for international students? Do you want to raise your hand? Look at that. So that's a pretty good amount here. So that's a great, great question. Anyone else have anything else to add that I missed?
I'll add something. At Loyola, we do also consider international students for both merit scholarships and for need-based financial aid. And like St. Louis University, we use the CSS profile. But it's always a good idea to make sure you're asking at the beginning of the process what the process is, because that will be different at different schools. So at Loyola, we do everything together in one big review. So we ask for students to send in all of their information for admission, for scholarships, and for the need-based aid at once. And that way, when we make a decision on the file, we're able to let the student know right away, not only if they've been admitted, but also what all of those numbers are, what you were awarded for merit, what you were awarded for need-based aid. So that way you can have that final number of what you would need to pay out of pocket or through family funding or other sources, so that you know whether or not that's going to be a good option for you, and you have all the information that you need to make your decision. At other schools, they may have a separate application process. So you want to make sure you know going in what the expectations are for each university.
Great. Anyone else want to add something?
Harvey, I was just going to see if people wanted to raise their hand if they had merit-based scholarships, because I think that probably is a good poll question. So unanimously, we all offer merit-based scholarships. So that's another good poll question. Perfect.
And if I can add one thing, Harvey, real fast. And even if, like, for example, St. Mary's, we don't accept CSS profile, unfortunately, but you should ask if there's any additional assistance out there. You would be surprised on a lot of institutions, kind of more like a case by case at that point, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
Thank you, G. All right, we got a couple more questions coming in. So next question, if I were to apply for a scholarship, what interest or activities offer better help? For example, art scholarships, sports scholarships, which one am I more eligible for? Teresa, I'm gonna pick on you to start maybe.
Happy to. I think I would just say it kind of depends on you, and it depends on what your interests are, what activities you're involved in high school. Schools that have athletic programs often offer some type of athletic aid, but typically students would need to be very, very top tier players in their countries. And then you could apply for other scholarships. Say if the school you're applying to offers an art scholarship and you're an artist or you're involved in art, you could do something like that. Gonzaga University offers music scholarships, and one of the neat things about them is that they're open to both music majors and non-majors. So if you're a student who is maybe you just love playing music and you want to continue taking lessons while you're enrolled in college, you could apply for a music scholarship and still be pursuing another major. So it really depends on you and your interests and your skills and your activities that you're involved in.
Thank you, Teresa. Would someone else like to pitch in some additional advice? All right. I think she did a good job covering it pretty well. Our next question, because someone brought up the CCAA scholarship. I'll go ahead and answer this very quickly, and Stephanie, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it is each year, there's just one at this amount that's awarded. It's fairly competitive because a number of students do apply for it, but it is one that is offered each year. I would say that this is a great example of the fact that multiple organizations do have some sort of scholarship fund. So, it should be a great motivator for you to consider this, and also, use search engine search functions to look for other organizations that offer these. We will, from time to time, get a really great student that's taken a lot of initiative on their own of seeking out private scholarships. And if you're able to receive 3 or 4 of these, that adds up. You're talking about a couple of $1,000s. That helps you cover books. It helps you cover your expenses, like your flights to and from the country. So part of this is a little personal responsibility for the student to not only rely on the resources the university has, but a little initiative on your part to search out what exists, outside of the universities.
I just wanted to add just a couple of things there. We do award 16 of the Catholic College scholarships each year, so we do offer quite a few. So that's pretty fantastic. The other great feature is that if you attend 2 presentations, if you are a senior in high school or a transfer student and you attend 2 of these presentations, so this one counts, and if you were to attend the next one or ask a counselor anything, your name will automatically be put in the drawing for those scholarships. So if this is the first one you attended, you definitely want to stay tuned for the next presentation or the Ask a Counselor Anything. Those both will be great, and that would make you eligible to be placed in competition for those scholarships. So definitely keep joining us this evening.
Thank you, Stephanie. She's the one with the inside knowledge. Let's listen to Stephanie, right? Great motivation to stay in to these next panels. All right, David, I think I might pick on you next. I don't think we've heard from you in a minute. So can you talk more about the CSS profile and what I can expect to find on it?
Sure. So this is an application where you have the opportunity to tell us more about your family's finances and your ability to pay for the education. So we request information through that application, like how much money do your parents make? What was their taxes like last year? What kind of things like assets do they own, like a home or other real estate, like things like that we can use to evaluate your ability to pay for the education in the United States. And so if we find that you're eligible to receive additional need-based aid from the university based on the information that you submit to us through that application, then we can create a new estimate for you and show you how we can reduce the cost for you at our universities. So, but basically, this is an application for you to send us more information about your family's income.
Spot on. Thank you, David. All right. Well, it looks like we have roughly 5 minutes or so left, so we definitely have some time. Again, you've got some great resources here. We know that this is a very popular topic with a lot of questions. As we potentially wait for, I'm going to put a question out there that I know is important and we should know. Who wants to talk about the importance of dates and deadlines and some examples of dates and deadlines students should be aware of? Because I think this is very important on the scholarship and aid topic too. Stephanie, you look really eager. I might go back to you.
Sure, I can start with that. So I would say that's probably one of the hard parts about the whole process, right? Is that each institution has different deadlines and different dates when it comes to scholarships. Just like Rachel was mentioning, they could have a separate application. They could have it could be automatic for merit-based scholarships, but you could still have to apply by a specific deadline. So the best thing to do is to work with your counselor. As G had said, your counselors are your friends and they'll help you navigate this whole system. And so you want to pay attention to those deadlines so that you don't miss out on that free money that you don't have to pay back. Need-based assistance, it'll depend on the institution if there's a deadline. And so that is, I can't stress enough how important it is to follow those deadlines. And so I always tell students, in the beginning of the process, I would just make a list and put it all on a calendar, and set those reminders so that you don't miss any of those deadlines. Work with your parents. Maybe if you have a family calendar, you can put it on the family calendar. Work on them every weekend so that you are making sure you stay in line, to get things submitted in enough time. You don't want to be doing it at 11 o'clock the night before, particularly with all the different time zones. You're not sure if it's midnight Central Standard Time or is it midnight Eastern Time, what time zone. So you definitely want to make sure that you're applying with enough time that if for some reason you can't get into a portal to apply, you can reach out to the admission counselor. Because here's the thing, I'll tell you, I am happy to check my email. When there's a deadline, I check it after hours, but I do go to bed pretty early. So I'm in bed by 10 or 11. So I will not be able to help you at midnight, to access that portal. So you do want to try earlier than later.
Excellent. Anyone else want to add to that?
The enrollment deadline is a pretty important one too. So make sure, all of us should be May 1st this year. So make sure you pay attention to those emails about the enrollment deadline and make sure that you make your decision by May 1st.
I always tell my students that the dates and deadlines is half the battle. If you can do things on time, you're really doing yourself a favor. We like that. You make our jobs easier when you do things on time, so everyone is happy. As Stephanie mentioned, it is unique to each school, so a little bit of extra work on your part just to verify that the schools you're interested in, what their unique dates and deadlines are. So a couple minutes, a couple questions that came in. Stephanie, maybe this is for you because you're kind of, in charge of this whole thing. If I attended the previous talk, how do you know if I'm there? You've got folks excited about the CCAA scholarship.
Absolutely. So that's fantastic. So part of the webinar, when you actually came to log in, it asked you to fill out your name and email address again. So we are able to pull a report that you did attend. So we do know that. My colleagues at the National Catholic College Association will actually follow up with you probably sometime next week or within the next 2 weeks to actually have you fill out a quick form, so that you are fully submitted into the CCAA scholarship. So you will be followed up with after this, if you've attended 2 of them, to make sure that you fill out a form. There's not like a ton of essays and different things like that. So don't stress about that. But we will follow up with you to make sure that you are fully qualified to be considered. So we're super excited about the opportunity for people to attend as seniors and transfers to be considered for this scholarship. So we're pretty excited about that.
Stephanie, really quick, because this question is kind of a follow-up to that. If I attend all of them, do I have more opportunities to win it?
Oh, I wish, right? Other than you get the knowledge of all these great 26 colleges and universities. And I would say you just have a wealth of knowledge with the different universities that are here, just the vast array and the knowledge and the experience that they're sharing. You will be winning in and of itself. If you haven't checked out our website, now, this doesn't get you scholarship money, but it could get you a t-shirt. So we do have a scavenger hunt game that you can play. That was in the actual automatic email that you received with all the Zoom links. And so every school submitted a fun fact about themselves. And we have 3-minute videos that you can learn about each of our schools. And that fun fact is embedded in each of those videos. And so it shouldn't take you too long to watch all of the videos, and you'll have those fun facts. And then you submit that scavenger hunt, and then you could possibly win some t-shirts. So that's another thing that you could win.
Great. I think we only unfortunately have about a minute left. You guys have our contact info here, so write down our emails. Feel free to reach out to us directly, and we're happy to keep answering questions. Gerardo, I might call on you to get this last one out. If I work on campus, can I apply money to my bill?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. Again, you have to also look at how many jobs are available per campus and everything going like that. For example, my office, since I'm assuming a lot of you guys speak Spanish, we have a lot of students who visit our campus whose families speak Spanish. We would love for you to be a tour guide. We will pay you to walk around a family on campus. And so easy money, there's a lot of stuff like that out there for sure. And of course, you always have to remember, typically when you have an on-campus employment, at least with St. Mary's, we can send it directly to you as well. So you can actually treat it like an actual job and have your own little sort of kind of income, or you can send it to your actual billing as well. Ultimately, that'll be your decision.
Great. Thank you. I do think we have to wrap it up to keep everything on schedule. There's a couple of answers being typed up to the ones we didn't get to. great information. Please reach out to us, reach out to other reps at other schools. We're here to answer your questions, guys. So we hope this was beneficial. Thank you for joining and look forward to hopefully connecting with you again soon in another session. Bye-bye, everyone.